Hello everyone, welcome to Venus English. I brought an article from CNN published on May 7th. Today, I just want to focus on reading this article out loudly. The title is Real ID is now required for air travel in America. Here's what to expect at airports across the US. The time has come. Starting Wednesday, passengers nationwide must use a state-issued ID or license that is real ID compliant to travel within the US. Aside from being used to board domestic flights, the identity cards are also federally compliant and are used to enter secure federal facilities. Real IDs are marked with a star in the upper right-hand corner, no matter what states you live in. State-issued driver license and IDs that are not real ID compliance are no longer accepted as a valid form of identifications at airports, the Transportation Security Administration explained. However, if passengers show up on Wednesday without real ID, they will still be able to fly but may face additional screening, officials said this week. And there are other forms of identification travelers can show ahead of flying. Here's what to expect if you are flying after Wednesday deadline. Can I fly after Wednesday if I don't have a real ID? Wednesday is not the deadline for obtaining real ID. It's just the date the new requirements for air travel goes into effect. People can still get a real ID after May 7. Additionally, passengers without one will not be turned away at airports. Steve Lawrence, TSA Deputy Executive Assistant Administrator for Security Operations, told CNN. "We'll process you, and you will not be turned away," Lawrence said. "It might take some additional time, but we are gonna do it efficiently. We are fully staffed at all locations across the country." Wednesday's deadline to enforce the 2005 Real ID Act, which enacted the 9/11 Commission's recommendation that the federal government's enhance security standards for identification, was pushed back several times. The 20-year-old law requires state driver license to meet certain federal requirements to be used for boarding a plane or accessing federal facilities requiring identification, but about 19% of people flying nationwide do not have them yet, the TSA says. The deadline left many confused travelers scrambling to comply ahead of holidays and the summer months. The enforcement is now happening amid delays and cancellations at New York airport. Be prepared. The TSA on Tuesday reminded travelers that enforcement of real ID starts Wednesday. Those without one may subject to additional screening, and that include TSA pre-check passengers. Plan ahead, arrive early, and arrive prepared, the agency said in a post on X. Travelers can find if they are real ID ready by using the TSA interactive tool. We'll have staff in front of all our checkpoints to help and direct our customers as they transit through the security process, Lawrence said. What's still accepted at TSA checkpoints? Adults 18 and over must show valid identification at airport checkpoints to travel. Some airports will also have separate lines for people who don't have real IDs or other documentation. The agency will work with states, airlines, airports toward an eventual time where enough people are showing up at airports with the correct ID, a TSA spokesperson told CNN. The bottom line is, if you don't have an acceptable form of ID, such as a passport or a real ID, Give yourself plenty of time when you arrive to ensure you can get through everything from the curb to the gate, the spokesperson said. We are definitely implementing Real ID, but nobody is going to be turned away Wednesday. Other forms of identification that will still be accepted at TSA checkpoints include a US passport or passport card, a permanent resident card, a border crossing card, and a veteran health identification card, among others. Those who don't have a valid form of identification may be asked to complete an identity verification. Once a traveler's identity is confirmed, they will be allowed to enter checkpoints where they may be subject to additional screening, the TSA says. What states are doing? Required documentation and the cost of ID varies from state to state, and each has its own system for issuing them. The TSA links to each state's Department of Motor Vehicles to explain what residents may need to get one. DMVs are working really hard to make sure that we are getting people in so they can get their real IDs as we continue to move forward, Rollins said. In preparation for transition, California's Department of Motor Vehicles is offering extended hours and Saturday appointments to residents looking to get a real ID. The New York State Department of Motor Vehicles indicates on its website that officials are seeing an increased volume in office due to the Real ID implementation. It's time to get your Real ID number, really. The Service Oklahoma website reads, it reminds residents who are traveling soon to apply for a Real ID at least 4 weeks early because the TSA won't accept a temporary paper ID and that IDs are mailed within 1 to 2 weeks after a visit. Alright, thank you so much for watching my video. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.